In one of the most powerful nations in the Middle East, real power does not always belong to the man you see. Sometimes it belongs to the man behind the curtain. For years, political insiders whispered about a figure who rarely appeared in public. No official office, no speeches to the nation, yet enormous influence. And in a system built on authority and control, influence is not always declared, it is exercised in silence. His name? Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of Iran's Supreme Leader. To some, he is a quiet religious scholar. To others, he is the most powerful, invisible man in Iran. Some power is seen by millions, and some is only felt by those closest to it. But who is Mojtaba Khamenei? And how did a man who lived in the shadows rise to the center of one of the world's most powerful political systems? This is not just the story of a man, but the story of power hidden in plain sight.
To understand Mojtaba Khamenei, you must first understand the system he exists within. Iran is not governed like most democracies. Power does not flow only through elections or public institutions. Above the president, above the parliament, stands the most powerful position in the country, the Supreme Leader. The Supreme Leader commands the military, controls the judiciary, influences the economy, and ultimately shapes national policy. This role was first held by Ruhollah Khamenei, the architect of the 1979 revolution. After his death, leadership passed to Ali Khamenei. For more than 30 decades, he remained Iran's ultimate authority. But behind this structure of visible power, another figure quietly expanded his influence, a presence rarely seen but deeply connected. His son, Mojtaba Khamenei.
Mojtaba Khamenei was born in 1969 in the religious city of Mashhad. At the time, Iran was ruled by Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. But beneath the surface, the country was already moving toward upheaval. In 1979, millions of Iranians rose against the monarchy. The Shah fled, and a new Islamic Republic emerged from revolution. For young Mojtaba, politics and religion were not distant ideas. They were part of everyday life, a reality shaped by power, faith, and transformation. At the center of it all stood his father, Ali Khamenei, a man rising quickly within the new system and becoming one of its most powerful figures. Just 1 year after the revolution, Iran was plunged into war. In 1980, forces led by Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, igniting what would become one of the longest and deadliest conflicts in modern Middle Eastern history, the Iran-Iraq War. For 8 relentless years, cities were bombed, families were torn apart, and an entire nation was tested. Millions of young Iranians answered the call. Many joined volunteer units linked to the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Among them, according to various reports, was a young man named Mojtaba Khamenei. The war did more than defend borders. It shaped a generation defined by sacrifice, discipline, and unwavering loyalty to the revolution. Unlike many political heirs, Mojtaba Khamenei did not step into the spotlight. He chose a different path, not politics, but religion. He moved to Qom, the spiritual and intellectual center of Iran's clerical world. Inside its historic seminaries, students dedicate years, sometimes decades, to mastering Islamic law, theology, and philosophy. It is a world defined not by public attention, but by discipline, patience, and quiet authority. Mojtaba remained largely unseen. No major speeches,
no public campaigns, no visible ambition. But in Iran, power does not always reveal itself. It does not always speak loudly. Sometimes it takes shape in silence, behind closed doors. By the early 2000s, a name once rarely spoken outside inner circles began to surface in political conversations across Iran. Mojtaba Khamenei. Not in headlines, not in official speeches, but in whispers among analysts, insiders, and those watching closely. Some claimed he had built quiet, strategic relationships with influential figures inside one of the most powerful institutions in the country, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The IRGC is more than a military force. It is a parallel power structure, spanning defense, intelligence, business, and media. Within this system, relationships matter more than titles. Influence outweighs visibility. Those trusted by the Guard do not just hold power, they shape the nation's direction. Mojtaba's name appeared not as a public official, but as a connector, a shadow power broker operating beyond the spotlight.
In 2009, Iran faced one of the most serious political crises since the revolution. The presidential election between Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and reformist candidate Mir Hossein Mousavi triggered widespread unrest across the country. Millions of Iranians poured into the streets, demanding answers, transparency, and accountability from their leaders. The protests soon became known as the Green Movement protests, representing one of the largest popular movements since the revolution. As tensions grew, opposition figures accused powerful insiders of manipulating the election results. Among the names quietly circulating in political debates was Mojtaba Khamenei. The allegations were never proven, but they reinforced his reputation as a hidden and influential force within Iran's complex power structure. Iran's constitution assigns one body the authority to choose the supreme leader, the Assembly of Experts. As Ali Khamenei aged, one question quietly dominated Iran's political circles. Who would lead the Islamic Republic next? Some analysts believed Mojtaba Khamenei might be considered, but the idea sparked controversy because Iran's revolution had rejected hereditary rule. If leadership passed from father to son, critics warned it could resemble the monarchy the revolution once overthrew. Even after decades of speculation, Mojtaba Khamenei remained a deeply mysterious figure. Few interviews, almost no public appearances. In an era dominated by constant media exposure, he was, in many ways, a political ghost. For years, he operated behind the scenes, influential yet largely unseen. A man whose name sparked discussion more in whispers than in headlines. A figure quietly shaping conversations among insiders and analysts alike. But history was about to change. In 2026, with the death of his father, Ali Khamenei, the mantle of Iran's leadership passed to him, propelling this once quiet figure into the global spotlight, making him the central actor in Iran's unfolding political story. After more than 3 decades of rule, the era of Ali Khamenei came to an end. With his death, Iran entered a moment of profound uncertainty. Inside closed chambers, the Assembly of Experts convened to determine who would become the next supreme leader. After intense deliberation, a historic decision emerged. The new supreme leader of Iran would be Mojtaba Khamenei. For supporters, it signaled stability, continuity, and the preservation of the system. For critics, it raised uncomfortable questions about dynastic power in a republic that had long rejected hereditary succession. The quiet man who had lived in the shadows, rarely seen, rarely heard, was now standing at the very top of Iran's political hierarchy.
The center of power had shifted. A new chapter had begun.
Iran is a nation shaped by revolution, faith, and power. Now a new chapter has begun. At its center stands a man few outside the country truly understand, Mojtaba Khamenei. Will his leadership strengthen Iran's current path or reshape the nation in unexpected ways? Only time will answer that question. But one thing is certain: the story of Mojtaba Khamenei is now inseparable from the future of Iran. The quiet cleric who once operated in shadows is now at the heart of the nation's power. His decisions will ripple across society, politics, and international relations. The world is watching. History is unfolding, and a new era in Iran has begun.